Hello everyone. Thank you all for participating in the stream. I guess I'm online now. Although I was trying to conduct simultaneous live stream on YouTube and Rumble. I was trying to deal with some technical stuff, but unfortunately I did not find out how I should stream with OBS Studio through on both platforms simultaneously. I will work on it, and maybe for next Sunday I will manage to conduct stream simultaneously on both platforms. And dear friends, I had the idea today, I was thinking about it, to conduct live streams on Rumble on daily basis, with exception of Saturday when I have a day off, and maybe Sunday. So from Monday to Friday, maybe I will do a live stream on Rumble with this program, Telegram Reports. I'm not quite sure yet that this is a good idea, but well, it may help to generate some additional interest towards a Rumble channel, and maybe it will work. I don't know yet. Once again, thank you all for participating in live stream. And dear friends, I will conduct stream as always do. In the first half, I will share with you some news that was reported by Russian media since the first update, and then I will go through chat and try to answer on the questions that I see, if there will be any. First of all, of course, I want to congratulate all Orthodox Christians who celebrates Christmas today, like myself. Great holiday, of course. Best of wishes to everyone. And well, if I may, once again, thank you all for participating in the stream, and I will share with you some news now. So this live stream will gonna be kind of second update, and well, first of all, I will share with you information from RIA Novosti, according to which Russian air defense systems shut down at least 2 drones over the Bryansk region today. So Bryansk region is this area here on the map. Maybe Kiev regime was trying to conduct drone strike in direction of Moscow, but Russian air defense systems were ready for such a development, and they did manage to track and neutralize threat from those drones. Also, RIA Novosti and many other Russian media outlets did report that, according to Russian Defense Ministry, during the previous 24 hours, Russian air defense systems shut down yet another Ukrainian Su-27 fighter jet and also Su-25 attack plane. I can understand your if you have a question like I do, how many planes Kiev regime still have left. Not many, I guess. Not many. On my Telegram, not Telegram, but on my Patreon page, I did made one video recently about Soviet era planes, military planes, combat planes that were delivered by Soviet Union to former members of Warsaw Pact and number of other allies worldwide, because several planes were very, very popular on the world market, including MiG-29s, of course, and Su-25s. Su-27 is a little bit different type of beast. It's not that many countries that Su-27 was sold. Mainly it's former Soviet republics that after Soviet Union collapsed had the Su-27s in their militaries, including Ukraine, of course. But when it comes to Su-25 and MiG-29s, dozens of countries worldwide did receive from Soviet Union these planes, and I guess Washington, London, Brussels try their best to collect these Soviet airplanes worldwide and transfer them to Kiev regime, but still I don't think Zelensky's regime has more than few dozen of planes left, few dozen of maybe 20, 30 planes, and maybe even not at this point. But that's the information that we receive from Russian Defense Ministry, that another Su-27 and Su-25s were destroyed. Also, TASS news agency reported about article in a Bild German media outlet, according to which in Germany more than a year militaries cannot find out whose drones are conducting surveillance on a military basis where Ukrainian mobilized soldiers or reservists are conducting training. Quite interesting news. I find it funny when I read it first time, how it's even possible that for more than a year someone or maybe group of people are conducting surveillance operations with the drones over the German military bases, especially ones where Ukrainian soldiers are undergoing training, and Berlin still don't know whose drones are operating in that area. This information definitely highlights level of degradation, I will say, of Bundeswehr, because this is unacceptable, of course. This is just not normal, let's say this way. No matter whose drones conducting surveillance, maybe it's NATO member states drones. Anything is possible, isn't it? But still, it's quite a strange news. Also, are you gonna like this news, dear friends? RIA Novosti reported about statements that host of Duran show, Alexander Merkuris, made on the Duran show, on the recent Duran show. So RIA Novosti and I guess many other media outlets are watching, listening to Duran, and I believe Alex Christoforou and Alexander Merkuris gonna like this information. Why not? It's nice to know that major media outlets in Russia and I guess worldwide are listening to them. So in this information we have quotes from statements was made by Alexander Merkuris when he said that Valery Zaluzhny, during his recent speech, I cannot refer which speech is discussion in this particular case, but during one of the recent statements, Zaluzhny did look like someone in hysteria. He did not look confident at all, and Merkuris did highlight this while discussing situation in Ukraine. And of course, I have to agree with him. Recently, Zaluzhny is quite vocal in Ukraine, especially when it comes to shortage of manpower. So Zaluzhny, on one hand, criticizes Zelensky and his administration for methods that are used to recruit reservists. He's trying to gain some political points, I guess, in Ukrainian public, while criticizing these kidnappings that are taking place on daily basis. And I did share so many videos of that on my Telegram. But same time, very same Zaluzhny is demanding more people to be mobilized. So he definitely not looks like someone with the confidence. And as time will go by, of course, not just Zaluzhny, but all the other high-ranking officials in Ukraine will look more like hysterical individuals. That's inevitable. That's inevitable process, I believe. And also interesting news. RT is reporting that Biden did not know Pentagon's chief was in hospital. This was reported by Politico, US media outlet. Very strange news, really, because after all, Lloyd Austin is a defense secretary, and it seems like he was hospitalized. He was hospitalized for several days, and the White House, not just Biden, but White House administration didn't know about it, nothing. So it does gives you quite a good understanding, I believe, this information, that who is in charge really in the US. Lloyd Austin is, of course, representative of military-industrial complex, no doubts about that. He was working for Raytheon, if I'm not mistaken. This company has another name now, I believe, but still, he worked and I believe continues to work for military-industrial complex of US, and he or his inner circle didn't find it necessary to inform White House that defense secretary was hospitalized. How crazy is that? Let me read several sentences here. So, Pentagon kept US President Joe Biden's administration in the dark for 3 days about the hospitalization of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, Politico reported on Saturday, citing sources. The Department of Defense revealed to the public only on Friday night that Austin had been admitted to Walter Reed Medical Center the previous Monday, saying that it was due to complications following the recent elective medical procedure. It added that 70-year-old official was recovering well and is expecting to resume his full duties today. Well, whatever the case, information is definitely strange, at least to be said, because it's definitely not normal when head of military is hospitalized and White House is not informed about it. Crazy, man. It sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but that's a reality in the US. TASS news agency is also reporting that Speaker of House of Representatives today, Mike Johnson, did made a statement that Republicans in the House of Comment are still refusing to vote in support of Biden's military aid package for combined package for Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel, and also for border security, because they are demanding from White House explanations about strategy of US on Ukrainian crisis. So it seems like Republicans have no idea what White House plans to achieve with this additional 61 billion aid package that's supposed to be allocated for Kyiv regime. And even though me personally, I think Republicans and Democrats will eventually come up with some compromise. After all, this is last big paycheck for U.S. military-industrial complex and corrupt officials from Ukrainian story, from Ukrainian crisis. So they will use all their influence to make sure that one way or another, but they're not gonna miss this big paycheck. And some compromise will probably be found between Republicans and Democrats. Maybe Republicans will agree to allocate for Kyiv regime not 61 billion, but let's say 35, 30, maybe 40. Who knows? But maybe things are. Winds are blowing in the different direction now in Washington. I'm not there. I don't know what's really going on. And theoretically, it's quite possible that Republicans will finally block this Biden's initiative. That would be great, of course, for US taxpayers, because billions of their money not going to be spent or sent to one of the most corrupt regimes in the world, and enrich immensely powerful and rich US military-industrial complex and corrupt officials. And it's good news when it comes to Ukrainian story itself, because more money and more weapons definitely means further prolongation of this conflict, which is which will absolutely devastate already crumbled Ukraine. But let's see, in upcoming week or two, we will probably receive we will have a final understanding what US Republicans in the Congress are planning to do. And also interesting news, RT is reporting that Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, could take over EU Council, also reported by Politico. Quite interesting news. News that will probably devastate corrupt officials in Brussels, for sure. Let me read several sentences here. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, whose country will hold the European Council's rotating presidency later this year, could gain outsized influence over the body due to expected departure of Council President Charles Michel. Politico reported on Sunday. Michel has announced that he will run in this year's EU parliamentary election, meaning he will vacate his current post if he wins. If EU leaders fail to quickly find the replacement, the president's duties would essentially be assumed by Orban, the news website said. So, well, of course, EU bureaucrats will do everything in their hands to not to allow Orban to overtake EU Council, but who knows? Who knows? Orban, as one of the major EU politicians, EU bureaucrats, will be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see. RIA Novosti is also reporting that South Korean militaries laughed at statements of sister of Kim Chen-in. Today I did report on my Telegram that sister of Kim Chen-in, she's one of the most powerful, and some say even most powerful human in North Korea. So she did make statement that the North Korean army is ready to conduct devastating blow to South Korea and basically target even Seoul, capital of South Korea, if South Korean militaries will make any mistake whatsoever. As you know, in last several days, tensions did rise in Korean Peninsula significantly after South Korean and US militaries conducted training exercises. North Korea responded with shellings of few islands, and then there was harsh statements from Seoul in response to this. Even evacuation did take place from those islands. And now, sister of Kim Chen-in made a very strong statement, and for whatever reason, South Korean militaries laugh at this statement, which is a big mistake. I don't think they are realizing how powerful Kim Yo-jong really is, sister of North Korea, and possibly next leader of North Korea. And in any ways, even in political terms, I mean, you should always be a little bit more diplomatic, especially in crisis situation. But well, it is what it is. And the statement was made no other than general staff of South Korea. And in this statement, in statement of general staff of South Korea, comedy was called statements of Kim Yo-jong. So I don't think it's a comedy, man. It's a tragedy. What is going on in Korean Peninsula, and if Seoul will not pay attention to warnings from Pyongyang, then, well, it will not go down well for Seoul for sure. And I remind you, dear friends, that Seoul is in range of North Korea's long-range artillery. They don't even need missiles to conduct strikes on Seoul, on capital of South Korea. They can use a long-range artillery for this. Means let's hope nothing will happen in Korea, and after this escalation, parties will find way to de-escalate, as it always happens in previous decades. But still, quite a mistake on part of Seoul, I will say. RT is reporting that, according to Bloomberg, as a result of corruption in Chinese military-industrial complex and Chinese military missiles in China are filled with water instead of fuel. Well, I find it difficult to understand why Bloomberg will write something like that, because it's just too stupid, really. There may be some issues with corruption in China, like in any other country, but to write stuff like that, the Chinese missiles are filled with water instead of fuel. I mean, come on, man, this is rubbish. A serious article should never allow itself to write such a crap. But that's a level of journalism in the West, unfortunately. But let's read several sentences here. U.S. intelligence believes their sacking of several high-ranking Chinese military figures before New Year was linked to widespread corruption in the People's Liberation Army. Bloomberg has reported citing people familiar with the assessments, and this Western media always using these sentences that this information comes from people that are familiar with issue, and unnamed sources did share information with media outlet. I mean, this is BS, absolutely BS. As I said, corruption is an issue in any country. In any country, China is no exception. But to write that Chinese missiles are filled with water, really. Anyway, the problem is the most pressing within China's rocket force. So according to Bloomberg and some sources that they have, Chinese missile forces are experiencing most severe issues with corruption, in which a major investment have been made in recent years. The agency said in an article on Saturday. It cites several examples of grift within the PLA based on American assessments. Among the other things, Bloomberg's sources mentioned Chinese missile filled with water instead of fuel, and west fields of missile silos in western China with faulty leads that won't allow the munition to launch effectively. Well, unbelievable stuff. I don't know why U.S. intelligence community will share with Bloomberg this fake news, and why will they try to downgrade capabilities of Chinese militaries, because it's dangerous. If U.S. ruling class will push now narrative that Chinese forces are paper tiger, well, they may even manage with propaganda, with heavy propaganda, to gain support of public, even towards military confrontation with China. Because if majority will think that, Chinese missiles, they are filled with water, Chinese tanks, they are from cardboard, and Chinese ships, they are unable to swim, navigate, or stuff like that, then, this way, Pentagon or ruling class of the West definitely can gain some attraction among U.S. society towards further escalation with China, which is going to be devastating mistake for U.S. and for China and for entire world, of course, because China is a nuclear state, nuclear superpower, and that's what is comes first. China is a nuclear superpower. It has, according to different numbers in open sources, from 3 to 500 nuclear warheads at least, and according to some sources even more than 700. And as some reports are suggesting, before 2030 Chinese side is planning to increase their number of nuclear warheads 3 times. So I don't think it's a good idea to downgrade military capabilities of Chinese army. Something dodgy is going on in the US, because this type of crap information would not be sold to Bloomberg for no reason, isn't it? So maybe we will see in upcoming weeks and months that US ruling class with their controlled media or propaganda outlets will begin pushing heavily this narrative that Chinese PLA is a paper tiger and nothing to worry about, which is yet again gonna be huge mistake. RT is reporting that oil prices may double according to Goldman Sachs. Global prices for crude oil will double if disruption triggered by Yemeni Houthi rebels also affect in the Red Sea, will also affect the Strait of Hormuz. Dan Struven, Goldman Sachs head of oil research, said on Saturday in an interview with CNBC, no surprises here. One may argue how much oil prices will increase if something will happen in Persian Gulf and Hormuz Strait. I did spoke about this topic many times in previous weeks and months. My understanding is that Western ruling class definitely wants to provoke regional conflict to disrupt shipping in the Persian Gulf and also through Hormuz Strait, of course, in attempt to cut off China from Middle Eastern energy sources. That's my reading of big picture. And unfortunately, region is, at least for now, region is definitely heading towards further escalation. Let's hope nothing in regional scale will happen, but if regional conflict will be provoked, then it will devastate the entire world, of course. Oil prices may double, may triple, even, who knows? How will world economy react on such developments, and what levels inflation worldwide will reach? Yet again, let's hope somehow regional countries in the Middle East will manage to de-escalate, or at least not to be provoked by ruling class of the West to, into bigger confrontation, let's say this way. At least for now, regional countries, with the exception of Israel, Netanyahu's government is definitely on escalating and is destructive force in the region, but the rest of the countries definitely showed to the world that they are basically doing their best to de-escalate. Even though there were number of provocations, they are exercising restraint. At least for now, that's the case, and hopefully, there will be no regional conflict in the Middle East. Well, next news is also interesting, also about oil. RT did report that production is halted at Libya's biggest oil field. Well, because of the protest action on this oil field, which produces 300,000 barrels per day. So it's a big oil field. Because of the protests of locals that are demanding some investments in refinery in Libya and improvement of living standards, basically, this refinery have been shut down, which will definitely have its impact on oil prices. I have no doubts about it, and most likely already today, or at least tomorrow, oil prices will jump at least for $1, maybe even more. Let's continue, and this is gonna be last news for this second update. RT is reporting that new car sales skyrocketing in Russia. Sales in new motor vehicles in Russia amounted to more than 1.3 million units in 2023, 60% surge compared to previous year, the Ministry of Industry and Trade reported. According to data released by the ministry, sales of the passenger and commercial vehicles amounted to more than 1 million in passenger segment and more than 104,000 units in commercial segment, respectively. The number of trucks and buses sold in Russia during the 2023 totaled 140,000, more than 140,000, which is 74% increase. 140,000 trucks have been sold, and also more than 17,000 buses. Well, quite impressive numbers, really, and I wanted to share with you this information because it definitely highlights state of economy and standard of living, because after all, cars are not exactly the cheap stuff to buy, isn't it? And if 1.3 million cars have been sold, new cars we are talking about, brand new cars, then I guess that's this information on its own proves that despite all this pressure from the Western ruling class, despite thousands and thousands of sanctions, and Russia is most sanctioned country in the world, Russian economy is doing more or less okay, and Russian society is doing more or less okay. So, and this information definitely proves that. And well, this is it when it comes to short summary. I hope you will find this information interesting. And now let's have a chat. Dear friends, I remind you, if I may, that you can support my work through donation alerts right during the stream. This platform, I'm using this platform only during the stream, so if you have any question and you want to support channel same time, you can use donation alerts and write a question. You can select under this video in description box, and at the same time I will check my page on Buy Me a Coffee. If you can support channel through Buy Me a Coffee and send a question if you want to, and I will definitely answer. I will constantly check both platforms, donation alerts and Buy Me a Coffee, and if I see any question, I will answer on them. And well, now let's chat. I will go through questions if I see any, and as I said, I will constantly monitor donation alerts and Buy Me a Coffee. You can see links to both platforms under this video in the description box. And well, James Silver is writing, the restraint shown by Arabic countries and groups has been astonishingly disciplined, but what or when would prompt them to attack Israel? Well, I just spoke about this topic exactly, isn't it? And well, let's hope. I have to agree, first of all, with you, James. I have very same opinion that regional countries shown to entire world restraint and responsibility 100%. And well, let's hope there will be no more provocations from Netanyahu's government, and there will be no regional conflict, because it will devastate entire region, and entire world. Conflict in the Middle East easily can trigger even Third World War. I mean, it's just too dangerous. It's just too dangerous. But yet again, if you remember, high-ranking officials in Jordan, for example, did make statements that if Israel will try to force Palestinians out of their homeland, then Jordan will take it as declaration of the war and will act accordingly. And Jordan, by the way, is always acting in a calm manner. You're not gonna hear from Jordan some strong statements like from Iran, for example, or from Syria or Lebanon, for that matter. Jordan is always acting in a more calm manner because they did manage to establish quite a good working relationships with Israel, with assistance of US, of course. And US has huge influence over the Jordan, this kingdom, undoubtedly. But if Jordan even is making such statements that if Israel will try to push out of Palestinians from Gaza Strip or West Bank, which is also a hotspot. Many people may not know, but even though main hotspot is, of course, Gaza Strip and main military operations are taking place in Gaza, West Bank is also under heavy pressure, and on daily basis, clashes are taking place in the West Bank also, which is basically occupied by Israeli forces. But yet again, let's hope somehow Netanyahu's government will realize that further escalation and regional provocation of regional conflict, even if this provocation is demanded by Washington or Western ruling class, if Netanyahu's government will realize that regional conflict will devastate Israel and there will be no winners in that conflict, then maybe Netanyahu's government will de-escalate and the world will avoid this regional conflict. And also, James Silver also asking, when will Russia attack Ukraine from the northeast? If not, then if not from that area, then from where? Well, I guess you are talking about Chernigov, Sumy directions, and well, it's a possibility theoretically, isn't it, that Russian armed forces that are located in the neighboring regions of Russia or in Belarus may take action and conduct offensive operations from northern side in direction of Sumy, Chernigov, maybe even Kiev. But I don't think Russian armed forces have enough numbers in those areas to conduct large-scale offensive operations. So even though I did see on different channels forecasts that or predictions that maybe Russian forces will conduct offensives in direction of Sumy and Chernigov, I'm a little bit skeptical of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken. Most likely, at this point, Russian side will maintain the current strategy of mobile or active defense, and large-scale offensive operations will begin only when Ukrainian armed forces start collapse. It does not make any sense right now for Russian armed forces to start large-scale offensive operations because Kyiv regime still has at least 500,000 military personnel. At least 500,000. And even though if those brigades are poorly trained, poorly equipped, they have weapons on their hands, and to neutralize that massive number of armed forces, it will not just take time, but it will cause huge casualties, first of all, and it will devastate areas where clashes presumably will take place. it will devastate infrastructure, which eventually have to be rebuilt by Russia, isn't it? Because I'm quite sure after this conflict will end, at least from Kharkov region to Odessa region, all that territory will be controlled by Russia. And it will be Russia that will rebuild everything that is destroyed. And that's why, from Russian perspective, current strategy of active defense is priority. It does work. It's very effective. It's very effective, and maybe there will be no, because I did not see significant indicators that Ukrainian armed forces are collapsing right now or may collapse in a week or two. Even though I was thinking that it's possible that Russian side will conduct winter offensive. I did spoke about this topic many times in the previous updates, because I did not see that Ukrainian defense lines are collapsing. At this point, I have to say that maybe there will be no winter offensive from Russian side at all. Not in the northern side, in Sumy or Chernigov direction or Kharkov direction. Not even in current line of contact. And Russian side will continue this mobile defense. And this mobile defense, of course, not necessarily means that the line of contact will not change at all. Of course not. After all, Solidar was liberated in previous year. Bakhmut, Avdiivka now is in operational encirclement. Marinka is under full Russian control. So this active defense definitely allows Russian armed forces to move forward little by little, but yet again, probably you did notice that this forward movement is always connected with the creation of cold rooms or traps for Ukrainian armed forces, like it was Bakhmut, and now we have almost a similar story in Avdiivka. So, you know, of course there will be some movement on the line of contact, but until Ukrainian armed forces will begin to collapse, and we will see it when large units, like on the scale of battalion, start to surrender. When we see that, then we should expect large-scale Russian offensive. It may happen, theoretically it may happen this winter, although I'm becoming more skeptical of that. It may happen in spring, or maybe in summer. I don't know. But yet again, current doctrine or current strategy of active defense is working quite effectively for Russian side, and I don't see any reason to, any reason for Moscow to hurry processes on the line of contact. So that's my answer. Hopefully, I did answer to your question. At this point, if you ask me chances that there will be winter offensive on any of the sectors of the front line, I will say 30% probably will be, 70% probably not. Yet again, because I did not see strong indicators that Ukrainian armed forces are collapsing right now or will collapse in a week or 2 weeks' time. If something will change in upcoming weeks before end of this month, let's say, then I will reconsider my take on the issue. Let's once again, dear friends, once again, thank you for participating in the stream. How many of us? At this point, 175 of us on the stream, which is great. So, thank you very much. And let me check questions. Please, if you have a question, write it in a capital letters so that I will easily see it. thank you very much to all for congratulating with the Christmas. Thank you all, and of course, happy Christmas to all Orthodox Christians who celebrates this holiday today. Yes, TV Bob C is writing Denmark suspended deliveries of F-16s for 6 months. Yes, absolutely correct. I did report about it in the first update. Questions. Some interesting comments. Questions. I did not see questions. Maybe I'm missing something, and I need some glasses really. Please, if you can, write question in capital letters so that I will not miss it. James Silver writes great replies, LG, and I appreciate the detailed analysis. Oh, I'm glad that you find my answer interesting. Thank you. Oh, question, how is Finland? Well, unfortunately, as we all know, relationships between Russia and Finland are deteriorating extremely rapidly. Borders are closed, border crossings are closed, if I'm not mistaken. If you remember, Finland did reopen borders for 1 day and then shut down these border crossings again. I can only say that I really feel sorry that relationships between Moscow and Helsinki deteriorate this much, because even during the Cold War, two countries managed to have good working relationships, and now, for whatever reason, Finnish leadership made decision to become a part of NATO and then to constantly escalate with Russia. Why? It does harms. Current policies of Helsinki harms relationships between the countries on every possible level, on a state level, on the level of communication between their people. For economies, it's definitely serious problem, serious issue, especially for regions that are bordering each other, for Russian and Finnish regions that are bordering each other. Locals were moving in and out on almost weekly basis. Finnish people were coming to Russia to buy some grocery because it's cheaper here, to buy some fuel, and Russian locals in Leningrad region, for example, or in St. Petersburg, were moving to Finland to most likely to buy some stuff that probably cheaper in Finland than in Russia. Unfortunately, and it was good for for people to communicate and to establish these good friendly relationships, but unfortunately Finnish government destroy everything, Levan, what do Russians eat on Christmas? Valentina asking, on Christmas, well, on Christmas, I don't think there is any specific dishes. I mean, on New Year, because in Russia, this New Year celebration is big deal, there are certain dishes that almost in every family you're gonna find on a New Year's Day, on New Year's Eve or on the 1st of January, like Olivier, for example, or it depends, of course, on regions, but Olivier you're gonna find just about everywhere. Some salads, because I'm a southerner, I'm from Georgia originally. Then in Georgia you're gonna find Georgian dishes that are traditional, I will say, for New Year celebration, like satsivi, for example. It's kind of tikka masala, but it's not exactly that. It's different. it's spicy stuff. I'm not food critic. I don't know how to explain these dishes, but when it comes to Christmas, it's just family celebration. At least in my family, we did not have any specific dishes. Tradition, we have a tradition, for example, and yet again this tradition comes from Georgia. On New Year, on Christmas Eve, before 12 o'clock at night, we put a candle on a window. And in Georgia, for example, if you go out in Tbilisi, in capital of Georgia, or any other city, most likely you will see many candles on windows of houses. Of course, in Russia there are some other traditions also, but when it comes to dishes, although, by the way, Russian Orthodox Church and Georgia Orthodox Church are sister churches, and me being part of Georgian Orthodox Church, I can go in Russian Orthodox Church. It's as I said, it's like one big church. Yes, when it comes to dishes, I don't know, man. If there is any specific dishes for Christmas, probably there is. Yet again, in different regions, different, but I don't know. Sorry. Questions. Then Mattia is writing, Ukraine has 37 million people, then why they struggle to mobilize? Then from this formally 37 million people, 10 to 15 million are outside of Ukraine. In Ukraine itself, already, according to different estimates, more than million people participate in this military operation, and according to some reports, about 500,000, even more than that, 500,000 have been killed, and twice more wounded. So they cannot participate in the conflict no more. Some wounded personnel may return to the front line, but definitely not all of them. And then there are huge sectors of Ukraine's economy, strategic sectors that men cannot be taken out to mobilize, because in that case, for example, police, let's say, or energy sector, or transport, communication sectors. If Ukraine will take men from those sectors, then Ukrainian economy will collapse even faster than it is collapsing now. It will devastate Ukraine. And the former prime minister of Ukraine, about a month or two ago, did already stated that Kiev regime basically used all resources that there was to mobilize people that are not principal for strategic sectors of economy, like energy sector, yet again, like logistics, communications, and so on. So yes, on the paper, there's still 10, 12 million people in Ukraine, probably, but number of people are too young, number of people are too old, and in age, military age people that can be mobilized and are not working in the strategic sector, number of those people are very low, and majority of them are still hiding. Majority of them are trying to hide to somehow avoid mobilization. So yet again, in Western media, there may be some articles or some reports that there is no issue with manpower in Ukraine because they had so many million people in Ukraine, but this is not as simple, really, as it may seem. Maghrib is asking, hi Levan, you are well traveled man. Have you ever been to Ukraine? I have not been in Ukraine, no. I never been in Ukraine. I don't know why. I never had any business with Ukraine. I did not. When I was in active journalism in Georgia, I was, mainly concentrated in Georgian issues, internal issues, and if there was some official trips, and when officials from Georgia, for example, visiting Ukraine, then there are pools of journalists that are traveling with officials. I never like to be part of these pools because they are. Only exception is when Shevardnadze became president. From my news agency at the time, I was representing my news agency in the presidential pool, in Shevardnadze's presidential pool, and I didn't like it at all, really, because you may become a part of establishment if you maintain relationships with officials. And this is not good for journalism. You should always be independent. And I was trying to avoid any close communication with the officials. Always, I was trying to stay away and remain in shadows. It helped me to stay independent, and it was right approach in my opinion. But if I wanted to use my opportunity as a journalist to just travel around and together with officials, I could do it, but I didn't. So I was never in Ukraine. I was in UK. I was living in the United Kingdom for a number of years. I visited once in Turkey as a journalist. There was some idea to for cooperation between to create a filial of one of the Turkish media outlets in Georgia. And we went there. That was business trip, but it did not work out, really. But still, we used this opportunity, me and my friend, to travel around Turkey. And we went to Ankara, capital of Turkey, in Istanbul, wonderful city, former Constantinople. And what Georgia and Russia. That's 4 countries that I was ever lived or visited. Yes, that's it. I don't think I've been anywhere else. So, questions. Dan Matir is writing, when Western nations supply weapons to Ukraine, why they are warning North Korea? Please answer. Well, that's double standard, typical double standard of Western ruling class, isn't it? They are demanding from others not to do what they are doing themselves, well, it's at this point, I mean, Western diplomacy, Western political class has degraded so much so that I guess world leaders worldwide are finding difficult to even take seriously anymore statements from major capitals of the collective West, because I mean, how are you going to take seriously those people? I mean, John Kirby, for example, official representative of White House, before Israeli-Palestinian escalation, he was very dramatic and very caring about a situation in Ukraine, and he was crying, literally crying, or at least acting as he cries for civilians in Ukraine. And of course, it's a tragedy when civilians are casualties of military confrontation. But we all clearly see that Russian forces are doing best they can to minimize collateral damage, and they are never targeting directly intentionally civilians. This is, I mean, obvious for everybody, I guess, at this point. And the very same John Kirby did not say nothing on actions of IDF, Israeli forces against Palestinians, when they were bombing entire neighborhoods. So how anybody can take any word from that kind of officials like John Kirby or Biden or Macron, or, you know, seriously, it's just not possible, really. Unfortunately, those people are high-ranking officials, and you are forced to deal with this reality. That's a different story, but to take them seriously and to have any respect for them, no, that's just impossible. It's just impossible. James Silver, hi LG, who do you rate as a good journalist? I am in the Palestinian journalists, their bravery. Well, Palestinian journalists and all journalists that are working in Palestine are very brave people, of course. And unfortunately, dozens of journalists have been killed during this escalation. When it comes to journalists, how are you gonna rate journalists? I mean, I would not. I will just say journalists that I think are top, on top of the game right now. I would not mention Russian names because most likely you would not hear about them. You would not know them. But when it comes to independent media, let's say, on internet, of course, I will mention Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate from Grey Zone. They do amazing work. They are brilliant. Of course, this is, I mean, tricky question. I may forget names. There's so many of them. Richard Mathurst does great work to inform society, especially about situation in the Middle East. Brian Berletic does great job to inform all of us. He's former military, and he's military expert, knows about military stuff much more than I will ever know. So it's always interesting to hear his perspective on major topics, and so many more. Alex Christoforou and Alexander Mercouris, they are also on top of the game, and not just when it comes to. I'm not saying that it's just the journalists, also comedians. By the way, they become a source of information nowadays because Jimmy Dore does great work to inform society, isn't it? You may like some of his stance on certain topics, you may not, but Jimmy Dore does great work to inform society. Oh, Julian Assange, of course, root rights. Unfortunately, Julian Assange is still political prisoner, and he is a hero of modern times, undoubtedly. Patrick Lancaster, of course. George Galloway does unbelievable work, absolutely. I mean, there's so many of them, isn't it? I mean, I try to watch and listen as much as I can to all their work. Unfortunately, Gonzalo Lira is still a prisoner, political prisoner of Kiev regime. So, yet again, I mean, we are very lucky that there are such great people that are doing their best to inform us all. So, oh, and of course, how could I forget journalists that broke out story with Snowden. He was working at Guardian at the time, isn't it? I forgot his name. Sadly, you all are familiar with this journalist, of course. He has his own podcast now on Rumble, I believe. How could I forgot his name, man? Unbelievable. And then many more, and many more. As I said, man, this is a tricky question. I definitely will forget to mention some. So, you know, and dear friends, how long is this? Русский брат, с Рождеством. Thank you, Русский брат, for your donation. С Рождеством вас. Happy Christmas. And also let me check Buy Me Coffee. I forgot about this, man. So how long is this video? It's already more than an hour. So if I may, I will end this update now. Thank you very much. Thank you all for participating. I was thinking before stream, maybe like 30-50 people will join the stream. I'm very happy that at some point 170 of us were on a stream, and right now it's 150 of us. For such a tiny channel, it's a great. So thank you very much for your attention. And I will probably continue to do this Sunday live streams, because it does give us opportunity to just stay in touch, you know. So thank you very much, and have a great